Hello and welcome to another video tutorial. And in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use Beef to hack into a user browser and Instagram account. So first of all, to begin with it, we will have to start our virtual Kali Linux machine. And as you can see my screen, I have already started it. So first of all, again, Kali comes with Beef pre-installed. So you can just go to the applications and then of course go to the exploitation and you will see the Beef XSS framework. Beef relies on cross-site scripting and basically on malicious JavaScripts running in your browser to compromise your machine, to gain information from your browser, from your machine, access to your machine, and everything related to that. So as you see here, to start Beef, you just click on Beef XSS. It's going to start the Beef service. Give it a couple of seconds. Now it says that the service is active and it's now building the web interface. So when you start it, it automatically started in my case Firefox and led me to the Beef login console. So here, this is the Beef administrative console. To log in here, you just need to type Beef and for a password again Beef. And this is the default Beef page. This is where you're logged in. You have logs, of course, and you have the general information here. You have the online browsers. These are browsers that you have hooked. And there's the offline browsers, which you probably have hooked in the past, but are now disconnected for some reason. So maybe they were restarted or they closed the page and you didn't have any persistence. So that would be showing up here in the offline browsers. So first of all, let's just look at the information they give us. Here it gives us a very basic example on how to use Beef and how Beef works. So just point your browser to this basic page and insert your secret here. And we just type secret. And then when you see, click here for the more complicated and more advanced page. But that's pretty much what you can do here. So as you can see, the moment I opened this page, I became one of the online browsers. And here is some information about my machine. This is everything you can get from the browser. We have logs from my machine. As you can see here, user type secret. You can even see how I typed it. And that's pretty awesome and a lot of information already. So you can do some comments against the actual user, so against the actual user's browser, and these are all the options you have here. To begin with this, we can look at the browser options here. Those in green are basically, it means that they are most likely to be successfully completed if you run those jobs. Those in red are actually less likely, and for this particular browser that I have hooked, which is Firefox on Linux, these won't probably work. And as you can see, it makes sense, ActiveX and MS Office, things like that. So that's pretty self-explanatory. Now, Beef have some social engineering techniques here. So those in orange are basically supposed to be working on all platforms. And for example, you can use Google phishing. And this is the information you have here when you're setting it up. So this is the plugin. Uh, this is the XSS hook URI. This is where the actual browser will be led to. And some basic information about the delay in milliseconds. So if I click execute, my browser automatically opened another page. Check it out, and it looks pretty much like the Google login page. But the important thing here is that it's running on my local host. So if I type here, my user will be tester and my password will be test. And if I click sign in, as in many cases, it's going to redirect you to some other page, but on the same time, you will be actually your information will be collected by Beef. So if I click on the second command that were executed, you can see the data results is username tester and password test. So this is pretty much how the phishing in Beef works. It's again using a injected JavaScript. If we look at the page source, let me just show it to you. You can see that it's pretty simple. Simple. And there is the again the JavaScript. Okay, so moving on, if we want to use Beef and not use just the Google page, but for example, use another page, let's say the Instagram login page, what we can do is we can employ another tool from the Kali Linux. Let me just start the console, the terminal. So we'll make a folder called web, and then what we can use is the HTT track tool. This tool is used to clone web pages, and I'll show you what the options are. When you type -h, here is all the information you can think of and all the options you need to set it up properly and to collect and mirror the important stuff and what you need from that page. As you see, there are a lot of options here. Another thing you can do is actually use htrack as a wizard. So it's going to ask you for a project name, call it Instagram, base path, and to the website. So we're going to put it in here. Enter the URL separated by commas or blank spaces. So we actually need to let me just get the Instagram login page first. So Instagram. Let me just see if this would work. Okay, that's the one, Instagram login. So I'm going to copy that and provide it here. We want to mirror the website with wizards, so we choose option number 2. There are other options here, as you see. We don't have a proxy running at this point, but of course, if you're crawling and mirroring some big website and you want to stay um, um, invisible as much as possible, you'll be using something like Privoxy in a combination with Tor and something like that for anonymity. Okay, basic configuration, additional options, we don't have any. Ready to launch the mirror? Yes, we are. And it's now actually mirroring the Instagram login page. This is pretty fast, so it shouldn't take much time. It's basically downloading the HTML code and the links and everything along with the images. So give it a couple of more seconds and let's see what the results would be. And in the meantime, we can actually see what's going on into that web folder. There it is. So we have already a folder called Instagram. Yeah, it's done. And now we enter here and we have index.html. If we want to open that index.html, it's going to start loading the Instagram website. So what you can do is now let's host this website on our server. So the next step here would be just to move that Instagram, move it into the var www.html folder. Move everything from this folder into the HTML folder. And now let me just see what we have in the HTML folder. We probably have an index. Index.html. Yeah, we have, of course, some description here that we will have to remove this meta tag, for example. That's information about how the file was, um, how was the website mirrored. So let's just remove that part. Just type login. I think there are some other H track. Yeah, there is a subtitle here. Just remove that table. Okay, let's just leave it as it is for now and we can clean it up later. And now let's just see if we have option to see it here from here. Actually, when I refresh the page, because Apache isn't working, I'm not actually seeing anything. So how to start the Apache? Let me just show it to you quickly. It's very simple init script, Apache to start. Now we can actually check the status of Apache, see if it's all working fine. Yep, everything is working fine. Now if we refresh the page, we should see the Instagram page, login page. So now we have the login page of Instagram loaded, and it looks pretty similar to what the real Instagram login page, and even you have the logos here of the different apps that we can run Instagram on, different operating systems and different mobile devices. Of course, we missed the logo from here. That something we can fix anytime. And we also have the user and password fields provided. So the next thing we are going to do here would be to add our beef hook into that login page. So uh, here we can find it. Now, when you started beef, this is what it is actually telling you. It's running the user interface here and it's running a hook script here. So what you need to do is simply just copy this hook script with the script tags. Come on, script tags. There it is. And now we need to add that in our var .html index HTML. Basically, we can add that anywhere in the Instagram page. So just paste it, for example, here. And the IP address, of course, should be the IP address of the machine that we are working on. So in our case, for example, I'm going to add simply uh, 127.0.0.1 because this is for testing purpose, and I have it running beef on my local machine. But of course, you can get the actual IP address, public IP address of your machine, and you can use that one instead. You can do some firewall rules to allow that port 3000 to connect back. What will happen is that when the user opens the login page, the browser gets hooked and there is a malicious JavaScript that is actually executing a connection back to your server so that the browser will connect to you. That's why it's important to keep in mind what your IP address is here and use the proper one. As I said, for my testing purposes, local loop interface is absolutely sufficient. So now if we refresh the page, we should see another as you can see, my browser went offline. I'm not hooked, so I just created this Instagram page. I send that link to someone, he opens it, and our hook should load any second now. Yeah, and I refreshed it. As you can see, I can add some information here, test, and then you can of course add this um, scripts to reload the page or to send it somewhere else. But this is just for the demonstration purpose, so we don't really get into deep details about it. Basically, you have the browser hooked, and now you can do whatever you like with the browser of the target. And you have logs here, of course, as well. So as you can see, I can see there are some entries that were entered, test user type. So you have the user and password of the browser you hooked when they try to log into the Instagram page. And of course, as I said, you will pay some attention on that HTML. You're going to modify it so that it will actually kind of redirect or send the traffic to a real Instagram, and then just send the user there. And it will just, for the user, it will just appear that they entered their password, but for some reason the Instagram didn't accept that. And it's the right place, so they enter the password again, and this time is working perfect. Nothing really happened. And in the same time, here in the log, you will have the entries about the actual password used, what the user entered here, and boom, this profile is yours. So pretty much that is how to hack the Instagram profile using Beef, basically hacking the browser as well, and of course using HT track. Another simple thing you could just do instead of using HT-track, you can just go to Instagram.com. You can go to their page. You can even use this one. Just right click, of course, save the page, save it to the root folder. Just let me create a new folder called Insta. Just save it here, and basically if you open it from the file explorer, I don't have that one open. 1 second, please. There it is. If I open that, it will load the Instagram file, and it will load the images and everything from here. It's keep refreshing. I think there is a script that fails for some reason. Let me just get to that. Uh, Insta, and then Insta. Of course, when you move that to the actual web folder of your browser, of your server like Apache, you have to change it to index.html. Just keep that in mind. So what we can do here, there are some scripts that probably are malfunctioning. Let me just remove those scripts and see what's going on. Okay. Okay, let me just refresh that page. Already stopped refreshing. So yeah, play a little bit with the HTML and do whatever you like. Set it up. It's pretty basic, and you get that working as well. So when you have that downloaded from using the right click and save as, then the last thing you need to do is just code that Instagram HTML an index.html, and then move everything from here to var www HTML. My bad, the command is mv, not vm. That's pretty much it. Now, if I refresh that page here, I get this place, I get this page. So, of course, my browser is no longer hooked, and oh, maybe it's hooked because no, it shouldn't be hooked. It will probably take some time to disappear, but it shouldn't be hooked. I haven't loaded that page anymore. So if I refresh a couple of times, maybe it will disappear from the online browsers. Usually it shouldn't be hooked because I don't have the malicious hook added to the actual web page that we're looking at the moment. But what you need to do is do this, just simply edit the HTML index file, and feel free to add that script, as I said before, anywhere you like. Uh, do we have an IP? Yes, we already have an IP. And of course, Beef are kind enough to provide us with directly a example with an IP address properly entered. So there you have it. If you're running that for testing purpose, that's all you need to do. Just copy paste that script to the script ending tag. And that would be it. Yeah, my browser went offline. And now, of course, I will refresh and I'll have the hook loaded again. So there I am back online. Now let me go through some of the other options you have and you can do with that browser being hooked. So again, we know the log files and everything that you type in shows up here. So that's pretty much it. Tells you again the actual field. It tells you your email or phone. It tells you username. It tells you a lot of information so that you can, reviewing the logs, you can get a good understanding on what actually the user is doing on that browser window. So moving forward, you can go to commands, and these are separated on different categories. So the first one will be browser-related commands. Some of these commands would be executable, and some of these commands are actually ActiveX, for example, or searching for Microsoft Office, things that would not be executable in my situation, in my case with my uh, Kali Linux Firefox browser. But of course, we can try some of these commands and see what happens. So there is an option to, for example, let's see, um, detect toolbars. Let's see how many toolbars it will detect. And will it actually detect anything? No toolbars detected. When you select the command that you want to execute, what you need to do is click on it. And then if there are some things that you need to change, like for example, they will show up here like this one. If you want to play a sound, this is the location of the sound, and then click execute, and it's going to play the sound. If you want to change something, for example, play another sound or give it a link to another sound, just change that one. That's pretty much it. And then, of course, these are, for example, webcam commands. So you can start recording from the webcam in the JPEG string of JPEG files and get that information too if you have that allowed. But most of the browsers would not allow a access to the camera without first of all getting the consent from the user. Keep that in mind. So next, apart from browsers, we get Chrome extensions, which is specifically for Chrome, and all of these are red in my case because I'm actually running on Firefox, and these aren't the same thing. So you can get a screenshot if you have a Chrome browser, for example. You can inject beef into the browser, grab Google Contacts, and of course get all cookies. That's really useful, and it would have been great if it worked. The idea here is to actually have the user logged into a web page and get the cookies from that web page and from any other web pages that the user is accessing. I think there was one working here that works with getting the cookie again, even though we're running in Firefox. Let me just see, was it in browsers? Browsers. Get visited domains, that's also cool. Let me see what else we have. Detect pop-up. This is the proof of concepts. Yeah, this would not work. I don't see it here, but we will go through it and find it. The idea is another way to actually get the user account, the user passwords, would be to actually uh, have that user send a link. So you can basically create a domain, create a website, put your script there into that website that you created, or a simple HTML with that JavaScript that you have to input there, and then you can be something similar to Instagram. You can send that to the potential target via Instagram. This will make the target log into the Instagram page with their credentials. This will generate a cookie, of course. They will read your message or check your link, get the meme that you sent or whatever you did with the script. They will run the script and they will hook hook their browser. Then you will actually get the cookie from their browser, the Instagram cookie, and just use it, and the account is already stolen. So that's the other thing you can do here. Now for exploits, there are a lot of exploits here, as you can see. Camera related to, let me just see, localhost, Java payload. You can actually go further from having just the browser hooked, and you can just take over the machine. If you are successful, that would be great. These are Apache cookie disclosure. Let me see what we have here. That would not probably generate anything. No, that would not work. So that's a lot of other exploits, as I said. I think local host information, as I said, Java payload, camera again, things like that. Now moving to, let's just see, there is one Metasploit exploit here that we can use. We won't use that. On MISC, there is a Google search, for example, you can run from that machine with your keyword or your search term. There are other options like local file theft, for example. Not always, it doesn't really always work if you have the targeted file name or the path here. Other things like that. So what else we have for network? We can do some cross-origin scanner. We can do dozer. We can do actually detection of a proxy. So that could be burp or tor. Detect social networks again. That's something also useful. Not sure if that will do anything. Get then top network hosts, fingerprint routers, DNS rebuild ping sweep from that machine. That's another thing you can do. So you can use it to evaluate the environment and you can actually escalate further your access. The other thing is persistence. This is something that you can, of course, if you have successfully taken over a browser, you would like to make that. This module will use man in the middle or man in the browser attack to ensure the beef hook stay and does not leave when they close the domain or the page that they are looking at. So WordPress administrator, sorry, and so on and so forth. And again, social engineering, things like that, clickjacking, everything you can think of, or at least most of the things you can think of that you can take advantage of. Let me just see if I can find cookie. We have hook domains get cookie. Let me execute that one and see if we have any results. Yeah, we do have a result. So basically that's here under browser exploit for hook domains. And now, as I said, if this potential target have opened Instagram with their login and they're already logged in, they will have a cookie generated. This cookie, when you run this command, will show up here. That's all you need, basically. Just take that cookie and log into their account as well. And then you can change passwords, do whatever you like, basically. You're free to do everything. So that's pretty much beef. I hope you like it and I hope you learned something new with this tutorial. And of course, if you did, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching and goodbye.